Coming up on this episode of Bro, Do You Even Talk Pinball? Kevin and I, we're going to interview Nick Baldridge from For Amusement Games to talk about his newest creation for the P3. So you got two Nicks, one Bro. And then, of course, we've got Spooky's reveal of Scooby-Doo. And Kevin and I will answer, are there more than one Dicks on the playfield? All that and more coming right up.
Double super jackpot!
I need a ramp. I need a loop. I want targets I can hit. I need the scoop. I need a double super jackpot in my life. That's right.
And now, the Hall & Oates of pinball podcasting, Nick Lane and Kevin Manny of Buffalo Pinball. Whoa, boom shakalaka! Thank you, Nick Lane, for that beautiful intro. What's going on, everybody? Happy December. It's almost the end of another wonderful year here of pinball news. Nick Lane, what's going on?
So we didn't do a podcast in November for Bro, but we were on a podcast last month.
Yeah. Well, I guess we
People
did
missed us.
No, we didn't know. It was like November 4th we put out the podcast.
Oh God, that feels like a year ago at this point.
But there's been a lot of news since then.
Yeah, we should probably give a plug to Pinball Party. So thank you for Pinball Party for having us on that podcast. You can go check out an episode. I heard it's their best episode ever. You know, I'm hearing
people
things.
are saying it's the greatest episode ever. You know,
my mom says it's the best episode ever of Pinball Party. So
check it out. Episode 11 if you're looking for it in the feed. He puts out a lot. So yeah, you want to jump right into some partners?
Let's jump right into some partners. All
Thank
right,
you, partners.
here we go. Partner number one, premier partner, Pin Stadium Lights is a lighting kit for your pinball machines, illuminated, award-winning mod for your pinball machines. Kind of a no-brainer in this day and age in terms of mods. Save 10% when you use coupon code Buffalo, controlled by iOS or Android. You can make any color combination you want. Highly recommend it. Then pinwoofer.com. Pinwoofer.com, you can check out our interview if you want to learn more about that system from last month's podcast. It's an upgrade kit for your pinball machine. And let me tell you, he got a lot of orders from that episode, which was great to hear. And I also had good feedback from people who purchased it, and they're really happy with their Pinwoofer. So, again, I don't mess around, man. If I take the time and bring somebody on a podcast or we have a sponsor, we definitely believe in the product. So I'm glad everybody's happy with that. Flipping Out Pinball, especially talk about believing in products, talk about good people. FlippingOutPinball.com, Zach Meny, and now his partner in crime, Greg Bone, who will take care of you for customer service. Best customer service in the industry. Why anybody would buy a pinball machine elsewhere is beyond me. They're really good people, and they basically have every pinball machine imaginable. And you can also get, if you want to be cool, you can get a big buck hunter reloaded like me and, you know, pay $40 a month for a subscription. Highly recommend throwing your money away on it. It's great. Titan Pinball, TitanPinball.com. Use coupon code Buffalo, save 10% on silicone rings, pinballs, the most comfortable mat in the industry, flipper button protectors, and much more. I sell them short by just rattling off a couple, but those are my favorite products that they have. Pinballraffle.org. Head over there for a chance to win a pinball machine almost every month, and also donate to charity. Talk about winning. Pinside.com. Got a nice Pinside.com story about people wanting to punch me. We'll talk about that later in the podcast.
Yeah.
Great place to rile people up and set off the mentally unhinged. Pinside.com. My favorite place to talk pinball and upset people unintentionally. All right. Comet Pinball. CometPinball.com. LEDs, the OG in illuminating the pinball machine. CometPinball.com. And then last but not least, Jersey Jack Pinball. Still making the most beautiful pinball machines on the planet. Check them out. All right. Let's go, Kev.
Let's go. All right, let's kick it off with the one and only Nick Baldridge. You saw him as part of the Drained Reveal stream right here on Buffalo Pinball. He was dressed up as a vampire. He's not dressed up as a vampire today, but he's joining us from his pinball workshop. Nick Baldridge, what's going on from For Amusement Only Games?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm dressed as a normal human today, but you know.
You know, it's daytime, so the vampire comes out at night, right? Exactly.
A perfectly normal human. That's exactly what a normal human would say.
Thank you.
And before the show, I thanked Nick for having the same name as Nick, so I do not have to change the name underneath the video screen. So you just get Nick no matter who's talking. So 2 Nicks, 1 show. Here we go. So Nick Baldridge, if you didn't know, he is the founder, creator, mastermind behind For Amusement Only Games, the latest pinball manufacturer on the planet. And I say that because he is actually manufacturing pinball machines. He's not just saying he's going to. As you can tell, if you're watching the video feed, you can see some of the action behind him there, the pinball construction action. So he did an interview with This Flippin' Podcast where he talked about Drained, the rules, the art, the music, all the like details behind the game. So if you want to know more about Drained, definitely go check out This Flippin' Podcast. I love those guys. Tommy and Taylor are great, and they did a great job with an overview of the game. Also, you can check out the reveal stream on our YouTube channel if you want to see the game in action. But I wanted to personally bring in Nick because I was part of the testers of Drained, and we had a channel on Discord where kind of behind the scenes, Nick was sharing the trials and tribulations of becoming a pinball manufacturer, and I was like, this is fascinating. I'd love to share this with our audience, especially in light of other quote-unquote manufacturers who promise big things and never are able to quite bring things to fruition. So with that, let's kick it off with the first question. So when people think about designing a pinball machine, they tend to think about the physical playfield, right? I'm gonna take some ramps, I'm gonna slap them on a playfield, put some targets. It's gonna be fun to shoot. It's gonna be great. So, but what else goes into the design of a pinball game, and what might most people not consider when they take on a project like this?
Well, aside from the actual physical layout, one of the things I like to consider is the feeling that the different shots elicit from the player. And those feelings can change based on the mode or the software. So everything has to kind of go hand in hand. You've got the physical layout, the software, the audio, the entire experience, the visuals, the artwork, the static artwork, and the dynamic artwork on the P3. Everything has to work together to elicit whatever emotion or just feeling of fun that you're looking to get from the player. And it takes a lot of time to get that balance just right. I've had some experience doing that now on a commercial basis with other games that I've made that were software only for the P3. Games like Ranger in the Ruins, Silver Falls, and Flipper Foxtrot Rhythm Explosion. But this was my first foray into the physical playfield layout for the P3 as well. So yeah, it's just a matter of taking all those elements and combining them in a way that is satisfying and fun to shoot, or is tense or intense. And it's tricky just to strike the right balance.
Yeah, for sure. So, you think about, like, sure, you can get music written for a game, or you can connect with you had Charles Wolfe do your music and he does amazing work. But if you don't, I guess you have to become like a creative art director, a music director, a project manager, like all those different skill sets. You need like all of this to bring this all together, right?
Yeah, so that's how I operate. But obviously, you can hire out for any of those different situations. So if you know your strong suit is not art direction, or you don't have a particular concept for the way the music should sound, then you can have somebody else do that work for you. But the trick is coordinating it all at the end. So on my side, I had a really strong concept for how I wanted this game to behave, and so I was able to coordinate the art direction, the sound direction, music direction, everything, along with the software at the same time, which I was also writing. So, I had complete creative control. But obviously, you can farm that out just depending on how you do it. And the bigger companies, that's how they do it. They have different people that handle those different departments or different aspects.
Yeah, for sure. When you're a startup, though, you got to kind of take more under your own wing until you can build up to that point, right?
Right.
So beyond the playfield design, what would you say was the most time-consuming part of the product project, and what skills are needed beyond playfield design? We touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, you know, programming is probably the most time-consuming, just because you're taking assets that are being generated, or you're generating assets and then you're pulling them in and making them appear or disappear or animate or whatever at a given time. On the P3, you're helped in that fashion, both with the SDK, but also with Unity, the game engine that runs the different displays. So the job is a little easier. Everything's a little easier on the P3, but it's still a tremendous amount of work. So making any game is a tremendous amount of work, and the software side is really where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, because making a target score points, relatively straightforward, but making it score points, start a light show, do all these things with the proper overrides. So this light show doesn't override another light show. It's more important. This audio overrides other audio, ducks out, call-outs, starts call-outs, whatever the case may be. There's a ton of layering that goes into the software creation aspect, and it's hard to overstate how difficult that is, and how time-consuming it is to make something that feels polished.
Yeah, it's I find that's something new pinball companies tend to lack on their first few games, like that choreography, the like you said, the tension. There's so much that goes into like making a game exciting and interesting and fun that it's easy to overlook. Like, oh, you just turn the GI on and you make some lights blink and that's it, right?
Yep. Much more.
Yeah, exactly. So why did you decide to start up for Amusement Only LLC, and what was involved with bringing your company online?
So early on in the process, you know, I was talking with Multimorphic, and they've been fantastic partners throughout this entire process, and they always have been on the software side as well as on this third-party module side. And there's a bunch of different options that they gave for how to create the modules, actually bring them into being. And I could hire Multimorphic to do it. I could hire a contract manufacturer to do it, or I could do it myself. And so I started looking into what was involved with doing it myself. And of course, the company part is financial. It's financial protection for my family, but it's also financial protection for the customer. You know, funds are separate because they're with the company. They're not intermingled with my own personal funds or anything like that. But I'm also able to get business insurance. There's a ton of different things that had to be thought through as far as how I want things structured, how I want to provide the best possible service and product for the customers. This is something that took a lot of thought and required a lot of discussion with my wife Molly, who did all the artwork for Drain, but also is my wife. So these are big, important decisions that we needed to make as far as, you know, is this going to be possible? If I were to do it, what's involved? Like this is a big chunk of my life is doing pinball related stuff, and making software, making games is such a fun thing, and sharing them with others is such a fun thing. So I wanted to be able to provide a quality product that I knew was manufactured to the specification that I had for it. And any contract manufacturer, it doesn't matter who it is, you're going to run into situations where something either doesn't get assembled correctly, or a target doesn't operate, or, you know, some kind of funky thing will happen during manufacture, artwork issues, whatever the case is. And so I wanted to avoid as many of those as possible by bringing them in-house. That way there's not a work stoppage if I need to go and adjust something in the manufacturing process, or retool, or replace parts if parts go in and out of availability, which they do all the time. So it's really the inventory tracking is a huge part of this too, and of course the accounting and marketing, all this stuff goes together as far as making a company. But the real driver behind it was just being able to present what I felt would be the best quality product built to the standard that I wanted it to be built to, without the need to involve other parties and create additional headache to fix problems when they occur.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and you're kind of like trading off, like, do I want to, balance, do I want to build all these myself versus,
Yes.
Yeah, and then when it comes from you, that like, okay, I put this together,
Right.
so I know like this module inside and out, and so if there's anything weird with it, then I know where to look.
It's way easier to stand behind the warranty that I'm providing when I know, I turned all the screws. So if I screwed something up, it's the onus is on me to fix it. Everything is my fault or, my good work. So, it's everything is a trade-off. Absolutely everything. And the same goes for all parts of pinball creation, be it design or software, everything. Everything's a trade-off. So, you have to make decisions along the way to what you think will produce the best outcome, the best product.
Yeah, that makes sense. The plus side for you, especially as a new startup pinball company, making a module for the P3, you're making like a 3x3 playfield,
Yes.
and the rest of the cabinet is already there. So that removes some of that complexity for you. I think.
That is huge. So yeah, the big difference, one of the big differences between making a full-size cabinet and playfield is just this immense amount of space that it takes up. As Kevin mentioned, it's actually like a 2x2 product. So much smaller, easier to move around, lighter weight, all those things. Takes up less space to store until you're ready to assemble. So all good things.
You don't have to buy as much wood to build cabinets, so you don't have to maintain as much inventory. So yeah, really, I can't imagine trying to do this with the whole cabinet and everything like some of these startups are trying to do. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So on this Flippin' podcast, you mentioned that you took out a small business loan to get your company off the ground. What went into that, and did you run into any challenges along the way with that?
So yeah, just more on the financial side. I've been thinking about this for a long time, obviously, and part of that was, okay, how do I want to structure the company? How do I want customers to be treated when they order this product? Will they receive it in a timely fashion? Obviously, I'm doing all the assembly and manufacture myself. So, everything from soldering to crimping connectors to screw-in targets to the playfield, all that stuff is on me. And so how did I want to come out of the gate with this? And the solution that I came to was that I wanted to purchase a lot of parts to be able to assemble as many games as I could practically, and kind of come out of the gate running. So rather than taking people's money and then using that to fund an allotment of parts and then using that to build machines, I'm using my own money, putting my own collateral at stake in order to do this. And I felt like that was the right move. So in order to get the loan, it's through the Small Business Administration. The U.S. has a lot of different financial products to help small businesses, just depending on what you're doing. I was lucky to qualify for one in my area, and I got this loan. It is a loan, so I have to pay it back, but that was all part of the financial planning aspect. And so, as I say, my money's on the line to make these games and deliver them to people. So I have skin in the game, I guess you'd say, and that makes me very interested in delivering a product, making sure I'm doing it the right way, but also the way that all the finances are structured. I don't have to use people's money that they're putting down for deposits or for the completed games in order to get manufacturing started. It's already happening.
Yeah, so you're already like up and building the first few modules, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what was the date? So it was like November 20th?
November 21st is when the game launched, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, we're only a few weeks out from that. So, and for a sole proprietor like you to be kicking them off and rolling them out that quick, that's awesome. So tell us about your adventures in finding a place to assemble the games. This is one of the things, behind the scenes things I found so fascinating. So I know you're working with a makerspace now. What was that like, and how does that compare to trying to assemble a game somewhere else?
Yeah, so I'll go through the trials and tribulations and then tell you where I've ended up, which I'm really thrilled with, and very happy to have that partner. But when I first started looking into this, of course, the federal government, great, go for it. Small Business Administration, cool. But my locality was not cool with it. So I applied for my business license here in my locality, and they said, no way, you can't assemble those in your house, which is where I started to do it, or where I told them I was going to start doing it. This is months before I actually started manufacture. And they came back and said, no way, you need to have a industrial zoned building that you're assembling these things. And so I explained it's all hand tools, there's no power tools, there's no air tools. They didn't care. So I ended up looking around at different localities near me and then talking to commercial real estate people and all this. And I will tell you, it's very hard to get commercial real estate people to call you back when you're telling them, here is the size of my brand new company and I just need, whatever the smallest shoebox you can fit me into. It just has to be zoned appropriately. So if I can have 300 square feet, I would be thrilled, just give me something. But no, nobody wants to do that. They want to sign the leases on these giant factory spaces. And, that's just not in the cards, not realistic. So I started looking around at kind of business incubators in my area. And I have a friend that's on the board for this makerspace, and I hadn't joined the makerspace, to my great shame. It's called Build RVA, and we'd been talking about it for years since the makerspace started up, and I just didn't have the time to devote to learning these different tools that they have, and they have a great variety of different tools that can be used for manufacture. So everything from CNCs, plastic laser cutters, all those kind of things are in-house there, and give me a lot of flexibility as far as moving forward with another game in the future. But one of the things they do is business incubation, and so I gave them a call and talked. My friend got me connected with the person in charge over there, and we had a long talk about what my goals were, what I planned to do, how I planned to do it, and so I have partnered with them. It's Build RVA, and they're in the city proper, and so that required a different business license than my locality, which is near the city. And but thankfully the rules were the same. Of course, that's an industrial zoned building. Everything's good. And so I had to get super organized. And everything has to be assembled over there. And then I bring it back to check my work late at night. And just make sure everything, this light that's on here, I can't overstate how powerful it is. It's extremely bright. This is a very dark room normally, but this light shines directly on a work table that I have that I use to double check everything at night, and then set my goals for the next day. And so I have just a giant number of these kind of U-line containers that are all labeled with the different components that are used in assembly, screws, etc. And big storage container that contains the very tiny parts like washers and so forth. And I just load up the vehicle and bring it over there, put everything together, bring it back. And so that's how I'm doing it. As the company grows, if I, sell a whole bunch of these, then I'll look into other commercial real estate. And of course, I'll have more of a bargaining chip with the commercial real estate agents in order to qualify for different space, because I'll have, a big chunk of income that I didn't have when I was first looking. So that's the other block. It's like, well, I might sell one of these, who knows how it's going to go. I would love to sell a ton of them, but realistically, you don't know how a game's going to hit. And what I think is a fun game, what you think, Kevin, is a fun game, might not be a fun game for everybody. So I just had to make realistic decisions, and as educated a decision as I could make with my own money on the line and all that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Really. So but beyond like the U-line totes and things like that, have you had to buy like tools or fixtures or anything like that to help facilitate the construction of these modules?
So because the modules are 2x2, I don't use a traditional rotisserie. So to check my work, I showed Kevin this, but I have a giant concrete Lazy Susan. And the construction of my module is such that it can stand upside down or right side up without damage to the module. So I can flip it upside down, spin it around, check everything 360 degrees. And that's really helpful. But other than the totes, I haven't had to buy much else. I already had all the tools that were needed for assembly because I've been assembling these. I've been, aside from being a in-home repair tech for many, many years, I also built a number of white woods and samples. So I had all the stuff that I needed, all the wrenches and so forth at hand.
Yeah, no, that's good. How many hours does it take to build a playfield module?
So that's a little tough to say, because there were a few changes from sample to production. At each step of the way, there have been some minor changes. So I'm finishing up the assembly of the second production module at the moment. And so I've done some tasks in parallel with the first one, and some that are not, based on the changes that needed to be made. But I do as many tasks in parallel as possible, and that way I'm as efficient as possible. So if I'm installing targets, I make sure that I have targets for all the current orders that I think I can handle or transport safely. All that stuff kind of goes into it. So an estimate that I have right now for the early ones is about 24 hours, but that should improve with some time. So as I get more experience with the new production processes under my belt, that should go down a couple of hours, I would imagine.
Yeah, that makes sense. And 24 hours seems like a lot, but it's like, a couple working days worth of time to build a module. It's really not that bad.
But you have to split it up. So like the electrical happens on basically one day or 2 days, and then, the mechanical happens on another day. So not everything happens in a straight line, in other words. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how many parts does it take to make a playfield module drained?
So it takes about 100 discrete parts, a little over, but thereabouts. And that was a big part of the thought process. So, I mean, there's, it's kind of hard to describe, because if you haven't done it or tried to assemble your own whitewood that is intended to go for production, there's a very different thought process involved than if you're building a one-off, which I've also done, or if you're just maintaining a game. So I wanted to use as many parts that were similar to make maintenance easy. So there's the assembly part, there's also the maintenance part, and the intent is to make it simple for everybody, but I'm willing to put up with some tougher manufacturing or assembly processes than I would expect an operator or a homeowner or any customer to put up with on the maintenance side. So, yeah, that's.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah,
that's
that makes
the answer
sense.
to the question.
Yeah. So you've always got a number of projects in the works. What's next for Amusement Only?
So the next thing that I'm going to do, and I've already started pre-production on this, but it's very early and it's put way on the back burner while I assemble these games. But the next game that I'm going to make is actually for a console called the Playdate, which is this little handheld console with a crank. And I do a little podcast about that as well with a couple of friends. But it's a fun little system. It's got all these different constraints. It's black and white. It's 1-bit graphics, but it is very interesting from a game design perspective. So I have other games planned as well, computer game and then other pinball games as well. But the main thing is that I don't want to overload myself or my manufacturing process by taking on too many different tasks. So everything outside of manufacturing is on hold. Any other pinball games that I have planned are way on hold until I feel like the market's reached saturation with Drained,
Yeah, no, that's good. I know you're always tinkering though, and I've seen the Playdate. It looks really cool. I'm like, maybe I should get one of those. Maybe when your games comes out, I'll grab one.
There we go.
Awesome. So thanks for joining us, Nick. This has been awesome. Like I said, if you want to see Drained in action, check out the reveal stream we did on the Buffalo Pinball YouTube channel. You can learn more about the game there. Check out the This Flippin' podcast to get more behind the scenes, or even Nick's own podcast, the For Amusement Only podcast, where he's shared some personal insights on how to make a game and bringing Drained to market. So let folks know where they can learn more about you and For Amusement Only and Drained.
Yeah, so foramusementonlygames.com is my company website. I also list out different personal projects and so forth there, but drainedpinball.com is the main hub of Drained Pinball. So check it out, and if you like it, shoot me an email and we'll go from there.
Yo, quick question, Nick. What is, and I'm sorry if I missed this earlier, but what's your background? What's your professional background? And do you do this full time now?
So I'm in IT, and I've been a professional IT person for a long time now. And no, this is not my full-time gig. This is my second full-time gig. After my day job, which is still IT. So there's that thought process went into it as well. Is like, how do I balance the two and make sure that everybody is satisfied and excited about what I'm getting them, but also making sure that I'm able to address issues like a big server meltdown or whatever in the day job. Can I balance those two? And I came to a reasonable, I think, balance between them. So
awesome. All right, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thank you both for having me.
Yeah, have a great day, and good luck with Drain. We look forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Nicolene, let's do some news. And before we do that, let's have our proper news intro.
Here's the tip. It's the latest pinball news. So hot, it's on fire.
All right. Now we can do news. It's official. We can do the news. So let's kick it off with Spooky Pinball has announced Scooby-Doo. So let's look at Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Okay.
What, was there something else you wanted to start off with?
Yeah,
All right.
I hate that we have to do this, Kevin, but we've got to put a trigger warning for spooky customers because I didn't realize this until we did our podcast last month, but there's some unstable people over there in that group, and I think we got to address that first.
All right, well, kick it off. Do the honors.
Yeah. Listen, if you don't, if you cannot stand for us to not say anything but good things about Spooky Pinball, you probably want to skip ahead to maybe when we're bashing like Stern or something else. All right. I have nothing against Spooky Pinball. I give my reasons why I might have issues with certain games, but and like normal people, normal well-adjusted people are like, what the fuck is Nick talking about? So, you know, the nice thing is about being in this hobby is you put yourself out there, and there's a nice Halloween thread in Pinside, and we probably should address a couple of these things. Number one, I don't go into that thread. People send me stuff. I mean, I would be an asshole if I went into like a fan club thread and said bad things about their game. I don't do that. This is mine and Kevin's podcast, and people can voluntarily come and listen to our opinions because that's what we do. We talk about games, right? We give opinions on games. That's it. We're super passionate about pinball. Well, apparently, we have not been saying nice things about Halloween, which is not unfounded. I think we back up our reasons, right? I'm not like I hate Halloween, spooky sucks, and then we're like, all right, let's move on to this topic, Kevin. We're like, no, here's the why, here's the issues. And anyways, what are you talking about, Nick? Well, number one, we got called. We'll start in like order of severity.
Are you starting low and going high? Is that what you're doing?
I think so. You can help me reorder it. I was told that I'm unhappy. Nick looks really like an unhappy person.
Okay. So is Nick Lane an unhappy person? Yes or no?
I would. Here's the justification.
Maybe they got it. Maybe they nailed it.
No, I'm not.
You didn't say no.
I'm passionate about pinball.
Okay.
This is not mine and your full-time jobs, and yet we on a Saturday morning, right? We bring our equipment together and we talk about it and we try to help people and give opinions. So I was called unhappy because I don't like Halloween. That's it. That's like this man's criteria. He seems unhappy. You know what's wonderful though? I'm a little jealous though. I wish, part of me wishes, and life would be much easier if like every pinball machine I played just brought unbridled joy to me. Like I couldn't discriminate between a quote-unquote good game or bad game. Just everything. Doesn't matter if the game resets in the middle of the game and carries over score from player 2 or the score's nonsensical, or if the powder coat's rubbing off of my hands. I just fucking love it every moment. Because that sounds like the ideal spooky customer, right? But that's not how I am, unfortunately, right? Like, this is like, I had to imagine that mentality, because there are people that are just happy with pinball, and that's great. I mean, it's kind of a nice way to go through life. It's like every piece of music you hear, wonderful. You just hear music, it doesn't matter, complex, simple, terrible, whatever. Like, well, maybe other people who call it terrible. You just hear music and you're just happy and joy. All right, my mind doesn't work that way. The only way my mind works that way is like if I drink wine, I've purposely not put any effort into discerning between good or bad wine because I don't want to introduce that to my life, right? I'm like a spooky customer of wine. You just give me wine, I'm happy, gets me buzzed, gets me drunk. That's it. I don't want to know anymore. I don't want to discern. So I get it, sir, but that doesn't mean I'm unhappy. I'm just discerning. All right, that's by the low end.
Okay.
You got, see, this is mostly on me. You got dragged into the other comment in there.
Oh shit, let's go. I don't think I heard this one.
Oh, you heard it. We got called douchebags. So they also took issue that during the stream when we went, people love this shit. People, I'm going off. I'm having fun. People, we got called douchebags because on the when we streamed Halloween Pinball, we were over at our friend's Patrick, who we talk about this motherfucker on every podcast. We love Patrick. Good guy. All right. Patrick's watched the show. Patrick's invited us over. Patrick's our friend. Talk to him nearly every day. So we're on the show, and we're kind of like, we were actually kind of pretty good.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Like, we were like, you said that was like one of your favorite shooting spooky games. Like, you were saying nice things about this game. I said, like, it was fun. But, like, it doesn't keep me coming back. Like, I don't want to keep hitting the start button. Like, I've had enough. That was when people were asking me what I liked.
Yeah, I was like...
sorry.
No. Dude, like, so, like... overall, I was negative on it, but I was also like, it doesn't shoot. You know, I was trying to be fair, right? But we were called douchebags because like these guys are douchebags. They go over to their supposed friend's house and shit on his game. It's like, dude, first of all, what kind of friends do you have in life? Here's the deal. Like, my ideal relationship is where my friends can be honest. They can express their opinions honestly. Like, if you have friends that everything they say is negative to you, then you probably want to get new friends. But if you have friends that are just honest, giving their honest opinion, you know, like there's positives or negatives. Also, Patrick knows what he's getting into of having us over. We'd be worse if we were like, oh, Patrick, this game's the greatest thing ever. And then we're like getting back on our podcast, be like, hey, fucking idiot Patrick buying Halloween. You know, like, by the way, Patrick hates that game. He is like not going to be a spooky customer ever again. He said losing $2,000 on the thing was he's happy he just lost the $2,000 just to be done with that game. Okay. All right. So, and as Patrick's okay. He's gone to therapy since we went over and made fun of his game. Okay, he went to a therapist. Therapist gave him some drugs, so now he can move on with his life. He had to sell his spooky games, though, because we heard him. We damaged him so bad. This 40-some-year-old man was so traumatized by us not going over there and validating his game purchase that he had to sell it, lost $2,000, but he's working through it, okay? And now he's bought an Alien, so I'm seeing progress on him, all right? We'll probably go over there and make fun of his Alien at some point, and then it's going to repeat the cycle. He's got to go to therapy again, get some more drugs, and then sell that at a loss. But listen, that's what good friends do, okay?
Yeah, well, Patrick was the one that actually sent us the screenshot of that comment, wasn't he?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So we're friends. We're friends.
Or Patrick is an adult who doesn't need people to validate his pinball purchases, and his self-esteem doesn't rely on what Nick and Kevin fucking think. Holy shit.
Slapnuts is having a good time in chat. So
good. This is for you, my friend. Let's go.
All right, what's next?
All right. What's next? And then the next is somebody saying that I have what they call a punchy face. They see my face, they want to punch me. This is the level of like, so here's the interesting thing. We talk about Halloween. We're like, yeah, I don't like it because I don't like this aspect. And it's not like they're over there and saying, hey, you know, I think maybe Nick and Kevin haven't spent much time, or maybe, you know, what they value in a pinball machine is different than what I value. It's just straight to like violence and name calling, which just tells me we're right. We're 100% right about that game, right? That's it. That game is indefensible. Let me give you guys a good. First of all, shame on you, Pinside, for not. They moderated that comment that they wanted to punch me, but it's still up there, and nobody's saying, hey, maybe you need to get some help if the idea that somebody doesn't like your pinball machine and saying they don't like it makes you want to punch them. Like, dude, what the fuck, man? Get some help.
Giant boxes of lights, of grown man toys, like let's just have fun, all right?
Yeah, or don't listen to our podcast.
Also that.
I don't know what to tell you, dude, but like look in the mirror. It'd be nice if we can just, I know it's a guy on the internet, but look, it's a niche hobby. We go to shows, right? Like, isn't that talking about what game you like and don't like? And I'll say a nice thing to you. I appreciate that you're so passionate about pinball. I'm passionate about pinball. You're so passionate you're willing to commit a felony or a misdemeanor or whatever and try to punch me. Like, that's amazing. Okay? But I would just say maybe tone it down and re-examine it. You disagree with me, okay? I'm glad you like your game. Let me help you guys defend Halloween. Here's what I would say. All right? Here's like a rational, thought-out answer. Listen, like, I understand, you know, what Nick and Kevin are saying about the game. What I like about that game is, like, I'm just happy that Spooky has, they make a lot of titles that other manufacturers won't make, and Halloween happens to be one of my favorite themes. I don't nerd out on games so much that I care about, you know, the scoring balance or the depth in it, and yeah, maybe it doesn't have the level of polish of like a Jersey Jack, but I am so thrilled to have a Halloween pinball machine in my collection that I'm willing to tolerate some of these things that they bring up. And I would say to that, dude, I'm happy that Spooky is making games that other manufacturers wouldn't make. I'm happy they made a game that you like and brings you joy, and I'm happy that you're in the hobby. That's great. Not, I want to punch you in the face and these guys are douchebags. So, yeah. But, you know, all right, so that's a really long trigger warning because we're going to get into Scooby-Doo. So I don't know if all of you guys can... shout out to all the Spooky owners who are mentally well-adjusted and do that kind of like internal thinking and don't have to say that out loud and can still appreciate us and come to and listen to our opinion. We can talk about that. Anyways, all right, let's go. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, spooky owners are the guys that like, oh, there's boobs in Halloween, and that's why I bought it.
Not looking good, spooky owners.
Like
We've been talking about games since 2016, and this is the first time violence has been brought up against us and an excessive name calling. So I don't know what that says about their customer base, but it's not good.
They're also calling for an adult mode on a Scooby-Doo pinball machine. So, you know, what? I can't help you. I can't help you. All right, Scooby-Doo, ladies and gentlemen, Scooby-Doo, let's go. So they Spooky Pinball, who you know, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but it seems like Charlie is like not even part of the company anymore, and the kids are running the show now. But they announced Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Based on the 60s and 70s Scooby-Doo. Looks really good. The art's good. Nick, we'll talk about certain points of the art later, but here's the who's who. So game design is by Spooky Luke and Corwin, quote unquote, Bug Emery. Software by Spooky DJ. Rules by Luke Peters. Art by Matt Frank and Jeff Zornow. Animations by Bill Rude and Brady Duke. Music by Matt, quote unquote, County Montgomery. And voice acting by Frank Welker, Matthew Lillard, Kate Minucci, I think I nailed that, and Greg Griffin. So there's the who's who. Let's start there, Nick. How do you feel about that design team?
Not good. The only thing that I read on there that's like good is I fucking love Matthew Lillard, dude. Like SLC Punk is one of my favorite movies of all time. He's great. He's Matthew Lillard was one of the bad guys in, spoiler alert, Scream 1. If you don't know who Matthew Lillard is, and of course from the Spooky Doo, he does does he do Shaggy, right? Or he do Scooby? He does Scooby. Right?
He does Shaggy.
He doesn't do Scooby Doo. Okay. Anyways, he's legit from the movies. So good job landing Matthew Lillard. Love him. But yeah, I mean, I think we know the Spooky's business model. And this is, listen, like American Pinball should be stealing this playbook. Get a fucking license that people can't say no to. There's people who just cannot say no to a license, and if you can make a box of wood that lights up and put some art on it, no matter what, they'll buy it. Period. Yeah.
I've seen comments where people are like, "Oh, I swore off Spooky Pinball, but I got to have a Scooby-Doo game." So, yeah, that's why you get a license that hits the nostalgia button, right?
I mean, maybe this might be I lack the information to make this judgment call on this, but none of those people mentioned. I don't know what a good track record or anything like that. I mean, so yeah, that does nothing for me. The design team.
Yeah, it's a big question mark for like game design software rules. Art is really good. Animations to be determined because they haven't shown any of that. Music also to be determined, but the voice acting, it's awesome that they got the folks on board from the series and the movies. And yeah, I think the theme is really good. Like I watched Scooby-Doo. My son was a Scooby-Doo fan growing up, so if this was from a company that I trusted to build a quality product that would be well supported and manufactured, then I might consider a game like this. But spoiler alert, I'm not buying a Scooby-Doo. Sorry. All right, let's continue down the road of what's going on. So here's the price and production. So the pricing is really good, I gotta say, relative to other pins that have come to the market lately. So standard edition, $77.69. Do you think they did that at the 69 on purpose? It's 1969, I think, is the year it came out. So it's innuendo, but also conveniently the year it came out. Bloodsucker edition, $87.69, and collector's edition, $97.69. Again, it's limited to 1969 units. So that's pretty good, right? The pricing's pretty good.
Yeah. So their lowest model. What's the Stern Bond Pro sell for? I'm just curious what their Pro. I was looking that up while you asked.
Oh
that.
Yeah, I think it's in the ballpark, right?
$16,999. So their base model
$1,000 over.
It is more than that, and you can argue it's like, well, I mean, I'm sure the quick arguments can be, the standard still has more kind of sculpts, things going on the play field. So it's like, okay, yeah, well, let's see where the game is at when both games have been out a year. Let's then complain, but let's then compare it in terms of build quality, sound, art, rules, and stuff, because it's not just shit on the play field.
Yeah,
It's not,
that is a
build of materials.
no, a thing to know, though. There's no playfield differences between the two models, right? It's all like cosmetic stuff, like say Hobbit or Wizard of Oz. Like those are all the same, no matter what trim level you got.
So I don't know how to reconcile the price, right? Like, is that price good or bad? I mean, again, Stern Pros are still cheaper, so it's not like I don't know. It remains to be seen, right? Like, you can really only judge it after you see the build quality, the game in totality, and we don't know that yet.
Right. And the fact that they came out with the new TNA and that didn't sell out, they may have bumped them to keep the prices lower. I think everybody's just happy that there's not a model over $10,000, right? Because that tends to be where they on the high end, like Spooky or Stearns, like the high end wasn't 007. That was like over like 11 or 12 grand for the LE, right? So if you look on the high end, that's where the big difference is, I think.
Donnie says we should get Patrick to buy it so then we can go and trash talk it. See, the problem is that Patrick is so traumatized, and I think James is also in the like James and Patrick were the guys buying these games, and I think even like they've both called it quit on Spooky allegedly. Right?
No,
like we'll see.
No,
James
not
is getting
both of
it?
them. Not both of them.
James, we're gonna come over and make fun of your game. All right?
I already told him we were gonna do that. So
it's because we love you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know when you get it. We'll bring our equipment. We'll do it live. Live bullying from Buffalo Pinball. And anybody else, if you're interested in having Buffalo Pinball come over and bully you about your game, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to come and do that.
You got to make sure you can handle it first, though. All right, so let's check out some of the features. It's a wide body, which I was surprised. Well, it's a wide body, but with an asterisk. We'll get into that in a little bit. Five color. Oh my god, I forgot how ridiculous this. So this quote unquote deep dive is on This Week in Pinball. So it's got five wireforms and they're colored after the people. Great. And triple, triple drop targets. Okay, so 2 banks of 3 drop targets. It's got the bookcase upper playfield diverter, Captain Cutler bash toy with magna hands, 5-ball mystery machine lock. Yep, 2 metallic green ramps, 2 spinners, under playfield secret passage. So it's got a subway, ball save, RGB drop target. So it's got the
best
Diamond
part.
Girl.
You're getting the best
Diamond
part on
Lady.
that screen. Hold on. Kevin's putting stuff on the screen, and he's not. If you got children, you might want to step away for a few minutes. Jesus, Kevin, you got to put a not suitable for work up there.
Should I do this one instead?
Oh God, there it is. Kevin has a knack for finding dicks on a playfield. Let's just get into it.
This wasn't me. This was the internet.
Look at
found
that.
This. Look at that. They did.
And it's like, what's that? Daphne on the left. Look at look where that is in relation to her wide open. I mean, come on, come on,
Yeah.
dude. This is how it went down. Stern has that giant dildo on there on Bond game, and Spooky's like, hold my beer. You've got 1 dick, we got 2. And our dicks flop around too. Don't those move, Kev?
No, they're not only are they purple phalluses, but they're also ball locks conveniently
the
with
ball
hands.
shoots out of the dick, right?
Yeah, and the ball like the hand like pushes it out. There you go.
Geez. So
that's like anybody I've shown that, they're like,
ejaculates from that.
Yeah, now I can't unsee it. So we've just done that for everybody watching this show.
Look, this is not even on us. I don't want this show to devolve into like dick humor, but they keep on doing this. How do you not talk about the elephant or the dick in the room? You know?
I don't know. You can't. All right. Well, moving on. You can have the kids listen again. It's got an RGD action button. I think that's supposed to be RGB. RGD. Oh,
you don't know that, Kevin. It's RDG.
Red, green, and what color starts with D? I don't know. I don't think there's a color that starts with D.
We got in trouble last time because people were upset that we gave Spooky a hard time for their posts on Facebook. That was hard to interpret. But again, this is like, I think this is like, it comes down to, this is why you pick on them for the RDG. It's attention to detail, right? Right?
Yeah.
This is an attention to detail issue that I think that we call
this
out
one
on
could
Scooby.
this one could be This Week in Pinball. To be fair, that could be This Week
All
in
right.
Pinball. Let me
Fair enough.
address
I want to be
that.
fair. I want to be fair.
I want to address the Facebook post, because that was another thing they called us out on, was that they misinterpreted, like we were intentionally spinning that Facebook post to make it seem bad.
Yeah.
I read what they wrote, and what they wrote was bad. That's bad communication. If you
did you know when you so you show me things live, so you didn't know that's
Right.
what they meant. You literally thought that that's what they were saying is
Right.
because that's what they wrote. And I just want to say, I mean, I'm glad I brought that up. Kevin is like an award-winning. He's a writer. He does communications. He does PR, social media. Like Kevin's not an idiot. Okay, and Kevin misinterpreted that, and then Kevin showed me on the screen, and I'm in a business of communication, right? And I read it exactly what they wrote. Like, it's bad attention to detail. We're not just it's you got to look at things in the totality, right? Like, it's not just like one bad post is spooky. It's like this goes along with like an attention to detail thing, right? Like, they just kind of rush and put things out there, and then problems ensue. And to their credit, I think somebody from Spooky wrote on the YouTube clip, they're like, no, this is what it was meant. And then it's like, okay, and they did it in a polite way, and they weren't like, you guys are like that's fair. But still, it's 100% understandable why it was interpreted that way.
Right. You could totally avoid that situation by like having somebody who has no knowledge of Halloween. Like, I'm not a Halloween owner, so I don't know that they were promising a code update on Halloween that, by the way, also never came out. That was supposed to be some big, like, amazing code update, and then they ended up firing their coder or whatever. The coder left. I don't know exactly what happened. They brought this other guy on that wasn't going to be able to get it done in time. You know, you could say it in a way that makes it more obvious to people who aren't on the inside, right? And you should always, you know, as a communicator, as a writer, always have somebody else review what you put up before you put it up, because you can't pull it back down.
And again, it's not like, you know, we're going to jump on every mistake somebody makes. This is in a larger discussion, right? About mistakes and issues and things that are just kind of frustrating with this company. So their new software guy's not working on this game. He's spending his time on making Halloween playable. Is that what's going on? Functioning machine?
I think so. I don't want to say anything wrong, because somebody might want to punch me in the face. So.
Well, you know, if you're hanging out with me at a pinball show, your life's in danger.
Well, maybe it's good because they'll punch you instead of punching me.
Yeah, it's good for some
or
people.
Is it? Or am I guilty by association and they'll punch us both?
I don't know.
Hopefully, there's no punching. Don't punch anybody.
We got to get a mental wellness sponsor for the show.
There's got to be some like.
Dude, your audio just went into like.
Is it crazy time? All right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're good. No, it's like
there we go.
There it is. Okay. Are we gonna run out of Zoom time too?
No.
Do we have like
no, we're good.
Okay,
we're good.
Right.
Okay, back to the Scooby-Doo Bloodsucker edition. So there's 3 editions. Bloodsucker, you get the clear plastic protectors, interior graphics knocker, shaker, interactive RGB speaker lights, metallic flake powder coat, laser cut speaker grill. So a bunch of trim stuff to make it look fancy. The collector's edition, you get a custom art package by Matt Frank and Jeff Zornow, ghoulish green plastic protectors, custom zombie chasing Scooby speaker grills, ghoulish green powder coat, RGB LED multi-layer villain topper. I think we're gonna hear more about that in Topper Talk. Custom creeper armor, Scooby-Doo dog tag launch button. Oh, you don't get that launch button on the other games? That's kind of lame. I like that. Minor 49er Scooby mine car sculpts, and a bunch of extra sculpts. So you get a bunch of extra toys on your playfield. The topper looks pretty cool. It's a bunch of lit up booty rape. I don't think it moves or anything. So you got that. This is my favorite part of the deep dive. So here's the rules.
Can I just say though, quick? I think the game looks great. I think
absolutely
aesthetically, like, it looks great, and a lot of times that's what they do well, right? Like, it probably looks great to have in your game room. It's when you hit start, things start falling apart, both literally and figuratively.
Well, Spooky definitely has that part nailed. They know they got to get a good theme and good art and limit the number of production, and they're going to sell out. And they just keep doing it over and over again. Although they haven't yet, as far as I know, sold out of this one.
And I wonder why. Maybe because they fucked people over on Halloween. But anyways, that's my speculation.
So, but they know, like, people are going to get the FOMO, and they're going to get their wallets out, and they're going to throw their $2,000 over, and then they're going to wait for a year and a half to get their game because it's a. And then hopefully by the time it gets to your door, maybe there's some code in it, but maybe not. All right. So the rules and code. Are you ready? So this is an action-packed wide-body game based around solving original series mysteries, collecting Scooby snacks, having the ultimate Scooby pinball experience. Five-player gameplay. So you can play 5 players, which kind of makes sense because there's the 5 gang members. All members of the gang are selectable, and there's a bravery meter. Cool.
Again, cool. Sounds fine.
All right.
Sounds
look
fine.
At these rules.
We're okay so far. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is about right.
Here's the deep dive rules they've provided. Start a case. Collect the white clue shots, then start a case at the mystery machine. Character modes. Complete character orbit shots. Captain Cutler multi-ball. Bashback Cutler's dive helmet. Mystery machine multi-ball. Rip spinners to qualify locks at the mystery machine. It's really, really well, like you said, like people have been saying rules are too complicated, right? So let's keep it real simple. Scooby, it's a real. To me, this shows that there's like the real minimal code there's got to be minimal code in this game. Otherwise, there'd be a lot deeper dive into these rules because these 5-word descriptions of what the rules are. Complete. We would have gotten away with it. Wizard mode. Complete all cases. That's all you get. That's all you get. There's a super wizard mode. All right. Are you hyped for those rules?
I mean, it's whatever. I mean, small town saying, look, there's more to it. And of course, there is more to it. Again, it's Spooky's ability to deliver a complete rule set in a reasonable period of time. Their ability to deliver a code that is not riddled with bugs. Right, so that's where we're highly skeptical because of past experiences with their games. They have a terrible track record, I would say. So that's why you get kind of this a lot of skepticism, a lot of negativity surrounding it, and maybe you could say, oh, you guys are being overly harsh. There's more. That's just what's written up there. But it's like, yeah, but there's a reason why, and I want Spooky to put out a good game. I want Spooky to be successful. I want American Pinball to be successful and put out good games. That's why we criticize, because we know that they can do better. So I would love to see this be like an amazing game where like all the past things that we've complained about are not present on this. I mean, I want people who buy games because they're excited their theme got made. I want them to get a great product. Like I'm on your side. I'm on the consumer side at the end of the day, which is why I'm harsh on the manufacturers when they don't deliver. So, yeah, I prove us wrong, man. The best way to silence the critics is by actually addressing these issues and producing a good product. So I think at the end of the day, that's what we all want.
Yeah. So they put out a gameplay video, but the gameplay video literally only shows the ball rolling around the playfield and making shots. You don't see anything about rules. You don't see the display at all. You don't hear any of the sound, so you don't know what's there. And even like the lighting effects that you see are pretty basic. There's not a lot going on choreography wise so far from what we can tell. The game, overall impressions of the game, it looks great. The theme is really good.
In that sense, it looks great.
The shots, the layout reminds me of Alice Cooper's Nightmare Castle. I don't know. Spooky has an obsession with upper playfield, so if you play Popeye and you're like, I love how I can never see the ball. I want more pinball like that. This game reminds me of a mix of Popeye and Alice Cooper's Nightmare Castle kind of mixed together. It also reminds me a little bit of Demolition Man in the fact that the shooter lane is not all the way to the right of the cabinet. There's actually like a inch and a half of the playfield that's not accessible to the player. It's just got like these lights on it. That's the spooky meter or whatever they were calling it earlier. So it's kind of a standard body game and a wide body cabinet. But that's what reminds me of Demo Man, because Demo Man's got that left hand side that doesn't really do much. So here's the right hand side. So yeah, it's a wide body that probably lets them widen out the shots at the top a little bit. So maybe they took everyone's advice and they made Alice Cooper, except you can actually make the shots now because they're a little wider. Hopefully that's what's going on here. But I don't know. There's so many questions. The other thing that concerns me about this is they're introducing yet another board set. So they launched with the Pin Heck boards. So that was in their first few games. So America's Most Haunted, Rob Zombie, Dominoes, and maybe Jetsons were all on Pin Heck. Then they switched to P-Rock, which we got a couple games on P-Rock. I think the first TNA was P-Rock. And actually, the new one is too, I think. And then there's the Rick and Morty was P-Rock, and there might have been one more in there. But then for Halloween and Ultraman, they went to the Pinzilla or whatever the heck it was. Pinatar, that was it. Went back to Ben Heck. He designed an all new board set that, we've seen pictures of the board starting on fire on Pinside. So maybe they're like, oh, let's not. I've heard Ben Heck is not working with them anymore. So maybe they had a falling out. I don't know. And now they're on to a fourth iteration of a board set. So, they've got to develop a whole new operating system, like pinball operating system on this platform. They've got to bring everything up to speed. They also have to think about the previous owners. So if I have a Pin Heck board in an America's Most Haunted and it dies, what are the odds that they have spares laying around when they've gone through 3 other iterations of boards and driver boards behind their systems? It's got to be so hard, and we've heard of that from our local friend who repairs spooky games. Getting replacement parts for those older games is really hard. So that introduces some skepticism from my perspective for, if I were to jump in and buy this game, am I going to be able to get the parts I need down the line to keep this game running and keep it going? So it doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me. I'll say that. Nick, what are your overall thoughts on Scooby?
No, I mean, first of all, good points you brought up, right? And again, this is the issues with the manufacturing issues that they have in terms of just the quality, right? Is below. Let's say Stern is an A in quality, just because maybe they're the highest, even though they have a lot of problems, they tend to fix it and stuff. Spooky would be like a C minus, right? Like in my book. So like I said, I think the game looks aesthetically great. All right, it just looks visually nice. I'm pretty impressed that they didn't sell out immediately, because isn't this like the total units that they're making for this? Isn't this less than their last release when they came out with both Halloween and whatever the other thing is?
I think it's about the same when you add the two up. Maybe it's a little less.
Oh, okay. I thought it was less for some reason.
I can't remember.
But I'm encouraged that people are not blindly ordering it like they were other games. And, that might seem like a dickish thing to say, but again, going back to what we were talking about Spooky earlier, me and Kevin are not Spooky customers. This is not to say that we won't one day. I mean, if the company turns around and addresses the things that we complain about, yeah, maybe we would be. What you need to be concerned about is not what Nick and Kevin think about the Spooky game, but what former Spooky owners are done with Spooky because of all the issues that they've had from years of buying Spooky and getting burned by it. You need to be more concerned about the Patricks who are walking away from Spooky, and there's a lot of them that won't buy another one because of Spooky letting them down with these issues, and that's why we care about this stuff, and that's why we bring that up. So I hope that they listen and do better and not just spit out games because, hey, it doesn't matter. They can make 1,900 games and they're going to sell out in the first hour because these people keep on buying it no matter what's thrown at them. maybe we're starting to see that turn, and they maybe, I know that they've definitely lost customers that will not buy another Spooky anytime soon because they got burned. That's what you got to be concerned with. And the question to us is always, how long can you operate where you're delivering a game where a year later the code's a disaster and the quality control is just really bad? How long can you do that before you start getting burned by it?
Yeah, here's we had League last weekend at our friend Mark's house, and he has a Rick and Morty. And a few of us ended up playing Rick and Morty after League night, and I was laughing my ass off. I was having a blast. I know Nick doesn't like that game, but I happen to really like it. It is absolutely, if anybody else made that game, well, not anybody else, but if like JJP or Stern made that game, I would absolutely own it. But I just don't have the confidence that the game is going to hold up and keep working based on experiences of others. And, Patrick again, and a few of our other friends own one of those games. And they had issues, and it's like, I just don't want to deal with that for the price that game commands. No way would I buy it. So I said, I'm happy to have friends who have that game so I can go over there and enjoy it, and then just go home and play my games. I don't have to worry about all the mechanical issues. So, Rick and Morty, love it. Would absolutely own it, but Spooky needs to step up their game, and hopefully they will. Hopefully this is the game that does it, and they turn a corner, and but they have to prove it. All right, is that enough? Is that enough? Spooky Pinball and Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, we can touch briefly on Drained because we talked to Nick about it, but we got 2 pinball announcements this month, so it would be unfair to not at least mention Drained got officially released to market by 4 Amusement only games. It's the first third-party P3 module for the Multimorphics P3 system. Nick Baldridge is the designer and developer. Molly Baldridge is the artist. It's her first time doing pinball art. And Charles Wolfe did the sound. Anthony Swan did the CAD, and Coleman Martin did the CNC. So price and production, it's $3,500 for the kit with all the art and all that good stuff. It's purchase instructions. Visit drainpinball.com. Of course, you have to have a P3 already to play it. So you got 15 vampires to battle, whole bunch of RGB LEDs. What's cool, what I like, two things I really like, that it's got brings back a physical bell, and it has a physical knocker just attached to the module itself. So even if your P3 doesn't have a knocker in it, you can just, if you drop in the Drain module, that it's got it all built in, which is cool. So it brings some of that old school feel with the new school features of the P3. So yeah, it's got stuff like Bluetooth updates, or Wi-Fi updates, Bluetooth headphone support, profile support, so you can have your own profile, and the rules and code. You've seen me play this on the stream, so if you have questions about the rules and stuff, but look at how many more rules there are here. So much more description of rules. It's almost like he thought through a lot of his rules and provided a lot of that detail here for you to help you make your decision before you buy the game. So I really like the art. It's got a black and white art style, kind of like Centaur. It reminds me of that from an aesthetic point of view. It's got a gobble hole, which we haven't seen since 1964. So again, bringing back a lot of classic pinball features that we haven't seen, and implementing them in a cool new way. So.
It has art like less Centaur to me, more Edward Gorey, if you know that artist.
Yeah, it is. They have said Edward Gorey was absolutely the inspiration for the art.
See, look at that.
There you go.
You nailed it. Then I had no idea.
Yep. So there you go. Apparently they nailed it because they got that response from you. So that's good. But yeah, I just meant like from the black and white feel of the game overall. I think other pinball players will recognize Centaur more than they will Edward Gorey. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. So check it out, drainpinball.com. Congrats to Nick for the launch of the first third-party P3 game. What else? Oh, Stern's moving. Well, actually, let's go to Zidware first. Zidware, remember Zidware, the original pinball scam that we started talking about after the podcast, maybe. But this was John Papaduke. Magic Girl, remember? Oh my God, it's so amazing! Look how beautiful the game is. I gotta have it. Let me throw $10,000 at J-Pop because he made Tales of the Arabian Nights, and he made Theater of Magic and World Cup Soccer, and those were great 90s games, and I want that level of detail back in my game. So he started up the Cliff Notes version is he started up a quote-unquote boutique pinball manufacturer, and he was going to make limited runs of these games like Magic Girl and Alice in Wonderland, things like that. This was actually how we got Zombie Yeti into pinball, because he's actually the one who found Zombie Yeti, so we did get something good out of John Papaduke and Zidware. But yeah, so basically he promised a lot and didn't deliver more than a few prototype machines and Whitewoods and mock-up playfields. Here's the original Houdini layout. Again, his games look amazing. There's no doubt about it. And they have a lot of creativity in the aesthetics of them. Whether or not they play great is to be determined. That was one of the things, like back in the day, the Williams days, apparently a lot of other people took his games and brought them into a playable, fun state and to a state that's easily manufactured. He's got the creative vision, but not necessarily to bring it to production for pinball. So they made 25 Magic Girl machines to buyers, but they were not complete. The rules were jank, and there was areas of the playfield you couldn't get to. And here's a mock-up of Alice in Wonderland. Looks really cool, yeah, but this is like foam core and paper and cardboard and stuff, So it's just to give an idea of what the game could be like. So basically, they went to court. The people who didn't get their games or submitted money and never got a product took J-Pop to court, and they came to a settlement. And this is a massive article, so go to pinballnews.com if you want to read this whole thing. But one of the more interesting things was that they actually discovered that John was hiding a studio that with all of these assets in it that he was not revealing to the court. Like somebody tracked this down, and so finally the people who gave J-Pop money are going to be able to get some money out of this by selling all of these assets. That's the nut graph right there. So there's a bunch of prototype Magic Girl stuff. There's a ton of pinball parts. There's here's three half working cabinets probably. And they're all in a storage area. Here's some artwork, retro zombie Atomic Ventureland or whatever that is that went to Deeproot. And if you remember us talking about Turner Pinball a couple months ago, the guy who launched his company via Deeproot.com, some contest on Deeproot.com, but also wants us to think that he's not Deeproot 2.0. He bought some of these assets, so he's interconnecting himself even more with Deeproot, even though we're not supposed to think about him being part of Deeproot. But here's all of that John stuff in storage now. Like, it's all in storage. They're going to take it to auction, I think, is what the next step is. So this is the end of the road for that pinball saga, I guess. So again, buy pinball machines that exist. Don't put all your money into hopes and dreams. Play a game. If you like it, buy it once it's in a box and ready to ship. Right.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Now we can move on to Stern. So Stern Pinball is relocating. This took me by surprise. I did not see this coming. So this is a news article behind a paywall. So somebody copied and pasted it onto Pinside. So Elk Grove Village has awarded a pinball machine manufacturer up to $2 million in tax increment financing funds to expand and relocate its operations a few blocks away from its current location in the Village Business Park. Under an agreement approved by the Village Board this week, Stern Pinball will get the funds in installments over at least the next 6 years as part of a move to a 163,000 square foot warehouse at 1001 Bus Road, BUSSE Road. So if you want to go stalk Stern, that's where they're going to be. So they had moved to, company officials said the cost to expand and move from its smaller 110 square foot building are prohibitive, and that's why they had considered leaving Elk Grove So officials decided to give them some incentives to stay. So I think the last time they moved was in 2014 or 2015, something like that. Yeah. Stern moved to Elk Grove from Melrose in 2015. So they've been in their current spot less than 7 years, or probably about 7 years, 7, 8 years. So it's not a lot of time to move all that stuff, but at least they're getting a bigger facility. Hopefully that'll help them scale up production even more and get caught up on this backlog, because they're still not all caught up on like Elvira's House of Horrors and things like that they promised people a couple years ago. So hopefully this gets them moving and less flooding. That's right, Borg Dog and chat. Less flooding. Yeah. So any thoughts on Stern moving? Oh, I got some pictures here while you talk to you.
Good on them. That's a positive sign, right? More room for more manufacturing, and you get through their backlog of games. So, like I said, I mean, Stern's been crushing it. Stern is just I think this is maybe the best period of pinball ever. I know like the heyday in many ways was like the early 90s, but I think in just the level of talent that Stern's has right now, the number of pinball manufacturers in existence, like there's something to be said about the games and what's happening right now in pinball.
Yeah, we are definitely spoiled with good games right now. It's a great time. Great time. Oh yeah, I didn't actually show the pictures. Yeah, here's the pictures. So that's the building. It's a cool looking building. I like all the windows and stuff in the front. Some of these are from Nap Arcade. You track these down. So yeah, it's a swanky little locale. Yeah,
nice, good for pinball.
Yep. Pinball Brothers. Speaking of janky manufacturers, Pinball Brothers. They are putting Queen into production. Everybody already forgot about Queen. Nobody cares already. But the Queen pinball machines are in production. At least a few are. This comes from Nap Arcade as well. Pinball Brothers, the maker of the well-received Alien pinball machine, shared pictures of their next game, Queen, being built. Pinball Brothers added the message, "Stay tuned for more," to their post. All right, okay, that's great. Hopefully Queens will begin shipping to customers in the near future. Okay, yeah, always stay tuned for more. So there's a spinner, and there's a ramp, a wire form, and there's some ladies with their tops off from behind in the pop bumpers. There you go. You got that going. And yep, they're putting them together. Whether or not there's any software to make them go, to be determined. Stay tuned for rules. Yep. So there you go. That's Queen. They're making them. Nick, you ready for yet another new pinball manufacturer? Are you ready?
No. But I understand how the world works, so let's go.
Okay. We go back to the beginning of the show and remember what we said with Nick Baldridge and all the he had to get a business license. He created a company, business loans, had to find a place to manufacture these. All right. Enter Pinball Eternal. All right. So this is a Pinball Eternal announcement 24 days ago. It says, "Hello, Pinside. Today I released the first alpha gameplay trailer of a game I've been working on. I will be maintaining this thread." See, he got into pinball 4 years ago. He worked for a video game company. They had a Lost World. Blah, 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 blah. The product has been in development for several years. Nearly all parts and electronics are built in-house, and I'm still finalizing and testing various parts. I have built an entire production and software platform to expand our product line to multiple titles going forward. I spent over 1,000 hours designing, researching, licensing music, and so many other tasks one by one. And still more to go. Final price for this pinball machine, $2,100. We'll be manufacturing a small first batch of 5 to 10 games at an early discount of $1,800. Wow, sign me up. A pinball machine for $1,800.
What year is this guy time traveling to where he can manufacture that? Yeah. So you got a time machine that takes him to the 1950s, and then he transports these pinball machines back?
Yep. We just want to make sure that everything from shipping to quality control is bulletproof before scaling. If you're interested in pre-ordering, get in touch. Yeah, shoot him an email. Sign up. Here we go. We will accept deposits starting January 1st, 2023. So soon, like, a couple weeks from this recording.
Don't give any money to this guy.
Our deposits are contractually 100% refundable if we do not ship you a game. In my journey, if I've learned more than one company, I've learned of more than one company taking large amounts of money to play with as they wish and never ship a single game. We will build the product first. Okay, so that's good. All right, you ready to see Pinball Eternal? You want to see it?
It's yeah, it's gonna be what's it called? You know, the Papa Duke shit, right?
Here we go.
All right. Shut up, Nick. Here we go.
There is licensed music, so I don't want to play the sound, but yeah. So, yeah, there's. There you go. Have you seen this before?
No.
It's got a lower dungeon playfield. Realistic fire effects.
Look how janky the corners are. Oh, this is the alpha. They're saying, okay, fine.
Engage switches to electrify demons. Oh, look at the demon. It's the Death Head boss. Oh, look at those parts. Look at those parts. Dual shaker motors. Wow.
How much does he want for this?
$2,100.
Dude, why don't you just double the price? You're still going to be cheaper than everything else and make it. This looks super jank. Dude,
but he's got allegedly he's got licensed music from all of those heavy metal bands.
This guy's delusional. There's no market for this. What was what were the games? The Pirates of the Caribbean. I can't think of it right now. Papa Duke's thing.
Oh, the Zizzles.
The Zizzles. Yeah, this is a Zizzle. This is the modern day equivalent of Zizzle. And was Zizzle a hit? I don't think so. It wasn't profitable. It's not around anymore. So why is somebody going with the Zizzle model but then charging 3 times as much?
Borgdog says, get to the part where it's 60 pounds and designed to go in your car's back seat. I should. There are pictures of this game. Let me find it. Let me go to the gallery for this. Oh man, I can't find it. There's pictures of the cabinet. I guess he took this to Free Play Florida, and it's yeah, it's not, and it never worked when it was there. So yeah, and he's got this. He's here. This is really tells you he's making his own coils, 3D printed parts, and actually physically winding the wire around the coil itself. Because that's what we need in pinball is more janky parts. I mean, if Kevin and I have said one thing, we want cheaper garbage parts in a pinball machine. That's what we want. Dude, if you want a cheap pinball machine, I guess do a video game pinball machine, right? It's not for me, but whatever. I think there's no, the only middle ground on that I can see is if somebody can bring to market $4,500 single level kind of classic Bally late 70s pinball style machine. If you could do that somehow, then I think you and do it well and have it be quality. I think you've got something in today's market. I think you can pull that off if done right. The trouble is to get it to that price, you have to have the scale of a Stern, and Stern does the home versions, and they're kind of around that price. But I don't know, Kevin. You're right. So and this is why you just don't do it. This is why it's not a real thing. Yeah. Mr. Nerptastic says an $1,800 fire hazard. Sign me up. Gorilla Biscuits. Oh, I know who that is. He got into pinball almost 4 years ago, so he knows what he's doing. Buy with confidence. Look, dude, if somehow he hears this and he's like, "Oh God, these guys are assholes," it's like, dude, we've seen this. We've been around for almost 3 times the amount of time that you have been. We've seen every story. I appreciate that you want to bring your talents or something to pinball. I think you probably should have done market research and talked to people, because this is like getting ahead of yourself, right? This is not really thinking, is this something that is going to do well or sell well, versus maybe doing a more legit homebrew style game and, just kind of working out your chops and, maybe doing something on the P3 like Nick Baldridge did, right? You might have something here, not in this model, but it might be a way that you can contribute to pinball and bring something to market. I think the P3 is a great platform for bringing something to market. That's how much was the drained, Kevin? 3,500, I think. Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, that's more than what you're doing, but that's a better design thing, higher quality parts. I don't know.
that'd be my advice to this guy. But I don't think he's interested in anybody's advice. He wants to go full steam ahead. And a lot of times people who actually have the ability to build something aren't good at business typically. You know, you want to partner up with somebody who can't, like me. I can't build shit, guys. I can't do anything, but I have like a good intuition around this, right? Like I know the business side of things enough to know that this is a poorly executed idea.
Yeah,
Prove me wrong.
Basically, the thread
prove
is
me wrong.
Yeah, everybody in the thread is telling him that. Like, it's if you might have something here, but it's too early to be taking pre-orders and trying to bring this to market. It's not there yet. Even in the thread, he says the game is not fun. Like, the person making the game says, "Oh, the game's not fun yet." So it's like, why would you even consider bringing it to market if you don't consider it fun yet?
Yeah, just deep sigh there. You know, Nick Baldridge was saying a lot of things during our interview, which is just like very refreshing about, like, you know, quality and not getting in over his skis in terms of growth or doing this, like taking unnecessary risks. Like, he's a smart guy. This is Nick Baldridge is an example of a guy who can actually make something and make pretty sound business decisions. So if you can do that, there's a low bar in the pinball industry. Like, you should see some of the shit that people buy and what comes to the market. Like, you might be able to actually do pretty good in this, but that's rare.
Also, if you want to do it like Nick, you need to never need any sleep. You just stay awake 24 hours a day, and those type of people are rare, but he can pull it off.
All right, Kev, I see the next note section. Why don't you take it from here? I'm gonna go do my bathroom break. I almost made it. I made it an hour and a half after I have coffee and water, so I'll be right back.
All right, so it's time for game room updates. So Nick doesn't want to see me share my Atari Jaguar game, so he's gonna go to the bathroom. But you at home, so I haven't added any new arcade or pinball machines or anything to my game room, but I have I've been doing a lot of gaming and share some of those with you today. So I got some new. Y'all know my favorite classic video game console is the Atari Jaguar, the legendary Atari Jaguar, much beloved Atari Jaguar. And I've got 3 new games from Atari Age. The first one is the Chaos Engine. Look at that. I've got the box protector on it, so it's super shiny. These boxes are awesome. They look really good. So the first 2 are ports of old Bitmap Brothers games brought to the Jaguar. So they look really good and are cool to have in the collection. So Chaos Engine, 2-player top-down shooter game. I've not played this one much yet. I tried it and I like it a lot so far, but it's not the one I decided to dig into first. The one I decided to dig into first is a game called Gods. Another Bitmap Brothers game. Again, look at that. Really, Will Thorup, I think, is the artist on the boxes. He does a great job. So super fun. This is why I've been playing this one the most. I remembered playing this one. I had rented it on Super Nintendo when I was a kid, and so I had some memory of playing that. But I wanted to dig into it more, so that's what I've been working on. There's also one called Stormbringer. This is another Atari ST game port. Not the best graphics, but the gameplay is interesting. It's basically a graphical version of a text adventure game, so pretty cool. It's going to take some trial and error to figure out what to do in that game, but looking forward to digging into that. It's a genre that's not very well represented on the Jaguar, and it is. Yeah, that's the plastic case is basically the butter cab equivalent for your classic video game. So get yourself a plastic case and put it on your game. And last, certainly not least, is a new release for the Nuon. So this is the Nuon was a very short-lived DVD platform that played video games in the early 2000s. And Freefall 3050 AD was a game that came out for it. It was actually part of the 7 games that ever got produced for this Nuon. Nuon was the spiritual successor to the Jaguar. A lot of folks who worked on the Jaguar also worked on Nuon. And so Songbird Productions did a re-release of Freefall. This is the signature edition signed by the game's creator, Tony Takuchi. And so I supported this release even though I already had it. I kind of thought it would be cool to get the signature edition. It's got a poster and all sorts of cool little goodies inside. So there you go. If you have a Nuon, you probably don't have a Nuon, but if you do, you should check out Songbird Productions. If you got a Jaguar, check out Atari Age and get yourself some new games for your old video game systems. All right, let's see if Nick Lane is back. He's back. Oh my God, he made it back. All right, that's what's happening in my game room. 2 more games I want to talk about real quick. on Game Pass, I've been playing Return to Monkey Island. Did you ever play the Monkey Island games back in the day, Nick?
Dude, did I fucking play Monkey Island? I remember, as a proud owner of a Amiga growing up, because I had a good dad who didn't fuck around and he went straight to the Amiga, no Nintendo. He calls them Mickey Mouse games. Yeah, dude, I remember like going to the video game store, the computer store, buying Monkey Island. I remember Monkey Island is like one of my all-time favorite games, playing it on the Amiga. Amazing. So yeah, I got Monkey Island 3, or the real Monkey Island. So this is, what's his name? Ron Gilbert? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
The Ron Gilbert. This is actually like he made Monkey Island 1 and 2. The third and fourth and like the Tales of Monkey Island or whatever shit wasn't him. So this is kind of like the real Monkey Island 3. So I've been playing that a little bit slowly. I didn't want to like beat it too quickly.
You've been playing Return to Monkey Island too?
Yeah, I've been playing that
yeah. It's super fun. Like I actually never played the original ones. I played a lot of adventure games, but I never played the Monkey Island games. Like I played Indiana Jones and King's Quest and Space Quest and all those games, but for some reason Monkey Island was one I never played. But I love that style of game, so I wanted to check it out. And the new one does a good job of it totally feels like a classic game, but it's got some modern sensibilities too. So like if you need a hint, you can get a hint. It's got like a checklist of things you need. I don't know if the checklist feature was in the old Monkey Island games, but I like that. It kind of keeps you on track. If you jump out of the game and come back, it's like, what was I doing? You can go into the checklist and it keeps you on track.
No, I mean, I beat that game when I was 10 years old and it came out, and I didn't fucking cheat at all, and I think I was smarter then. But that's all you
totally,
do. You throw so much time at it, you know? Like, I don't have time, so I already asked for a hint, and I feel dirty, because I was like, of course I knew that. But, dude, I would, if you're enjoying that, I would stop immediately and go back, and they remastered both Monkey Island 1 and 2. I would 100% play those first, because a lot of the appreciation for this game, I think, is understanding the jokes and the story and the characters. I think you're gypping yourself with that. So if you are having fun, I'd highly recommend doing that. The remakes of 1 and 2 are solid. Like they're good.
Yeah, I finished this one already, but I did feel like I was missing out because there's a lot of references to the old games. I went through, there's a little like refresher that you can go through. He's got like a scrapbook you can flip through to kind of get the backstory. So I had done that, but it's not the same as having played through it. But you're right, like I remember playing those adventure games for hours and just like being stuck on those, like trying to figure out what to do next and trying stuff. And with the passage of time and the realization of how little time you have left ahead of you, it's like, all right, I'm not going to spend 8 hours today trying to figure out this one puzzle. Give me a hint so I can move on and check out the next thing, which I appreciated. All right. So, and the other game I played that was really cool was Arcade Paradise. It's a sim game where you build an arcade. So if you want to build a virtual version of your own game room. But what's cool about Arcade Paradise is you can actually play. So you buy a new arcade game, put it in your arcade, which is, you start out as a laundromat. You can actually play them all, and they're all pretty fun. And it'd been a long time since I played a sim game, so I had won some like Xbox raffle, and they gave me 25 free Xbox dollars, and they were like, it's expiring, you need to spend it by the end of the month. I was like, all right, let me try this out, because I had been kind of keeping an eye on it, and I was like, this is actually really fun. So I played it all the way through. Highly support Arcade Paradise. Check it out. All right, what's new in your game room?
So I did a little video a couple days ago. So I picked up iArcade, and I don't know, if you can bring it up and maybe show
I'll play the video while you're talking.
Or even just show like the website with the cabinets and how they look, whatever is easier for you. Yeah. So I'm not a arcade guy. I'm not a MAME guy. You know, it's just like all pinball machines. But excuse me, I picked up the Big Buck Hunter Reloaded, and I put it in a space in my game room where I never thought something could go, like a pinball machine can't go. So then I thought, oh, this is fun. I have another space in my game room, and I can put kind of one of these like mini arcades or 3/4 size arcade thing. And like, you know, I've saw like the 1-Up arcade stuff before, and to be honest, that kind of stuff, like I get it for people who love nostalgia, and I understand why somebody might buy a 1-Up Arcade, but it just looks kind of like cheap junk to me. Sorry, you know.
Oh no, they're total junk.
Okay, thank you. Well, and I know, like, you and I like are, and I stumbled over my words in my video that I filmed of this unit. You and I like, and probably everybody listening are about like commercially operated games that we put in our room, like real, legit games that would be out in the wild. Like some of them have history to them, or some even the ones we buy new, coined, or like just built for that. So, you know, I was looking at that space. Like I got space to put something like that, and the iArcade I like because everyone in the community was saying like these are like a premium quality product compared to 1-Up Arcade, which is a low bar. You know, this is still like a home unit. This is not a commercial thing. It's smaller than certainly smaller than a real arcade game. Like Kevin, you have obviously real arcade games. You assemble it, put together, but it's got a lot of nice things on it. Like the artwork is like I think almost like what Radicals are, if I understand Radicals. Like it's like got like a plastic protector over. It's really glossy. There's a number of different cabinet styles. I got, which I go back and forth if I like the one I picked out, but I got Retromania Wrestling because I like that game. They have like a generic cabinet that looks kind of like a Tron inspired version, which I like that as well. And then they have like these gold cabs, which look more like traditional US arcade cabinets. This is like I think a Japanese style kind of like look to it, the arcade cabinet, but it was $500 on sale, and they're still running the sale at iArcade. So the cabinet style that I have, they have different, like they have a Dragon Slayer version, they have like a Double Dragon version, and then they have their gold cabinets are like $300. But like for $500, like I had like a drink stand there, like a TV stand. I was like, well, that's gonna go. This is no matter what, like this is a better use of that space. But I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I even thought I would. I go down, I played a lot. What's cool about it, it's almost like a console because you download games to it, so it's a multicade. It comes with 10 games on it, which is already a better value than 1-Up Arcade, because 1-Up Arcades are like $500, and it's just like one game. 1-Up Arcades have that stupid riser. This is like, it sits higher. It's just better quality overall. You get more games. And you download games. You go to their website, and games are like, I don't know, $6 to $10, most of them. There's a couple like $30 games. But not only does it play, like, you can get retro games for it, you get also like modern retro games. Like, I guess like Dead Cells is a big game. I'm going to pick that up when it's on sale. Retromania Wrestling just came out a year or two ago on Steam. That's a fun game. That's on Switch and stuff. So it's got a nice blend, right? It offers like kind of best of both worlds, and they keep on coming out with games. There's a few hundred on there now. I think the downside of that is they don't have licenses from like Konami and Capcom, because that's tied up, I think, with unfortunately 1-Up Arcade, which are just building kind of junk, as Kevin said. I'm glad you said that first. They're building that junk.
I have no problem calling those junk. They're junk.
It's kind of funny, man. I feel like a dick saying this, but people show their game rooms, and I look at it. It's like, dude, you've got these like kind of junky things. Like, you'd be better off. And I understand, like they're pulling at like the nostalgia string, which I don't really have that, so I'm able to resist it. But you'd be better off buying like one arcade game or one pinball machine, just building up over time, because it's going to hold their value better. Do what you want. Do what makes you happy. I'm glad you're getting into it. That's like a gateway drug, I think, to real arcade games.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we'll talk to you guys in a few years. Welcome aboard. You'll agree if you'll get there, but it's cool.
Yep.
So yeah, anyways, I like this. I think I honestly didn't really know that this thing existed. I remember, Kevin, because I'm a fan of Mutant Football League, you know, Tim Kitzrow, and also, you know, like the remake.
Oh yeah.
iArcade had like a cabinet that was themed with Mutant Football League, and that game was supposed to come out there, but it never did, because I guess there was a game-breaking bug that like the team from Mutant Football League didn't want to dedicate to solving it, so it never happened. They only made 100 cabinets. Yeah, that would be my dream. If they came out with that, I would sell that cabinet and buy the Mutant Football League and get the game.
Yeah, because I remember when I first saw these, it was a Mutant Football League version of this. And I was like, oh, that's weird that Nick didn't get the Mutant Football League version. Yeah,
dude, I 100%. And here, this is maybe my ignorance. And when I saw that advertised, I thought it was like, that's cool, but why would you pay $500 or whatever for just Mutant Football League in a arcade cabinet? I didn't realize that this plays like hundreds of games potentially. And the other thing is, like, you know, maybe one day if I had more space, a main cabinet would be good, but You know, with main cabinets, you get like 3,000 games, and you know, it becomes a little overwhelming. So I don't know. It fits my scenario. Like for what I'm looking for, it's a good fit. I don't know. What do you think of it? Were you aware of this product? Did you know much about it?
Yeah, so you know, because I like arcade stuff, they started targeting me on Facebook with with ads, and they always look neat. I had never played one until I played yours. It's a good middle ground between an arcade 1-up and the real thing. Like obviously, I'm into the classics. Like I enjoy collecting, repairing, restoring the original like 80s arcade games. That's what I'm into. Not everybody has the desire, interest of or skill set to keep these things running because they're not easy to keep running. So something like an IA arcade is a great spot to be if you want to play some of these games and without all the hassles of maintaining an old game. You know, what I thought was cool is Martha was like, "Oh, have you ever played Magical Drop 3?" Because that's one of these games that's on there. I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's one of the games in my Neo Geo." You know, the Neo Geo is great because it's got hundreds of games in it that you can play. And so seeing somebody who had no idea this game existed really now fall in love with this classic video game, it's great. You know, and now the next time we're together, we can play this game and have a good time, right?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Like, I think it's cool that you have, like, real arcade games, right? Like, even though I'm not into it, like, to me, that takes up a lot of space. It's just one game. So it's not my thing. I like the idea of, like, if I'm going to take up some space, it could play a ton. And, you know, my attention for these older style games are pretty limited, right? I like play and then kind of move on. Have you ever thought about doing I'm curious, have you ever thought about doing a MAME cabinet? And if so, why not? Yeah,
it's just not, like... If I want to play those games, I can play them on MAME on my computer, right? Like I don't see the benefit. Or I have a modded Wii U that I have all those games on. I have access to all those games. So if I'm gonna have a game taking up space in my game room, I want it to be an authentic game. Neo Geo is probably the closest thing I would ever get to a MAME cabinet because I have the SD card in there with every Neo Geo game ever released, so I can play the whole library of games. So that's kind of my. And then the other games I have are games that I love. And then, but like something like Tempest, I've added a board to it where I can play like 5 different games in that one cabinet. So I get you on the wanting to get the most out of the real estate that these games take up because they're big and you know you can only fit so many, so you want to get as much gameplay out of them as you can.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, and I appreciate where you're coming from. The other thing I should mention is that they have online on these old games.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize that either, so that's awesome.
Yeah, so if anybody's got one of these and wants to play some old school arcade games, that'd be fun. But yeah, they have a ton of Neo Geo games, so it's helping me appreciate like Windjammers and Magical Drop.
Windjammers is the best.
It's so good. Game. Dude, yeah. What's cool is like now I'm excited to play like these arcade like I've probably like never played your Neo Geo, like maybe once, but now I'm like now it's got me there to appreciate it. And of course, like I remember going to Aladdin's Castle as a kid, and you know, I'm in my 40s, so like I wasn't playing Pac-Man. I was playing more like Final Fight and maybe Street Fighter and Turtles and Simpsons and all that stuff. But it's cool, man. It's cool. I love this. I really want to champion this company because I like they're hitting my sweet spot. And I made that video for other people kind of like me who didn't know it existed. So hopefully it's helpful.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to battling you in some Windjammers the next time you're over, or the next time I'm at your place.
I got to get good. You're going to kick my ass. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Brody Even Talk Pinball. If you haven't yet, be sure to follow us on all our social media channels. If you're watching, you can see them at the bottom of your screen. Twitter, Instagram. Well, I'm still on Twitter for now. We'll see how long that lasts. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We got a group. And Discord, if you want to chat and you want to have people show you all the phallic things on the new pinball machines, that's where you go for that. Send us an email, talkpinball@gmail.com. Subscribe on Twitch if you want to support us. If you got an Amazon Prime account, you get a free sub every month. You can throw that our way. We also have a PayPal account if you want to send us a little donation. And a free way to support the channel is to leave us a review on your favorite podcast listening platform of choice. Before we throw it to Topper Talk with Gordon, episode 15, Nick Lane, anything to say to the folks?
Yeah, seek mental help. Get a therapist if our opinion differs than your opinion on a pinball machine, and it pushes you to violence against us. Get some help. I mean that. And just happy holidays. Thanks for listening. I want to, when we do a stream, Kevin, and and I see like somebody re-upping their subs at Twitch, and they've been there since like, 2016 or whenever we started, 2015. Like that's amazing. It means a lot to us, and it's nice feedback that we're providing value, and of course I don't, that's the goal, right? To provide value and entertainment to people, to help them. So really grateful, whether you're subscribing for the first month or your 80th month or whatever we're at now. Thank you. It's appreciated.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. Have a great holiday season. We will see you in 2023. Oh, and don't forget to tune in for the Bad Girls Holiday Special. Very important. So we'll see you soon on Birdie Even Pinball. Bye.
It's Topper Talk with Goran right now. Let's all have some fun. This is about plastic on top of your pin. Go and buy one now. There's a topper here and a topper there. Here a topper, there a topper, everywhere a topper. It's critical to the gameplay experience. You must buy one now. It's your monthly fill of toppers right now. Topper Talk with Goran. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Topper Talk with Goran, the part of the podcast where Kevin and Nick give me about 3 to 5 minutes to talk about everything happening in the very active and profitable Topper community. Now at Topper Talk, we like to stay on top of the abundance of pinball Topper news. So today we're going to be talking about the new Scooby-Doo Topper revealed for Spooky Pinball's new Scooby-Doo pinball machine. So let's head into the office to talk about it now. Okay, here we are in the office, so let's jump right into this topper. So there aren't a whole lot of videos or images released fully of this topper yet, but I did manage to get this nice freeze frame from the Scooby-Doo official reveal trailer from Spooky Pinball. This is the custom villain LED topper. It features a bunch of the game's villains on top of the game, and below it says the classic line, "Would have gotten away with it," from Scooby-Doo. It is multi-dimensional, so it's multiple pieces of plexi, so it's not just one flat piece of plexi. Now, it doesn't have a whole lot of sculpts or 3D pieces to it, but hey, I'm never going to complain about a topper that is thrown into the game as part of the overall package. It does have color-changing abilities, as we'll see here. So it does nicely change the color, and we see it pan down on the back glass. Now, here is a photo of it on the overall game. And although there's not a whole lot of interactivity going on with it, it does have an LED strip or two that change color, but, there's the different characters don't necessarily change state or colors themselves. It does flow nicely with the overall artwork of the game. It's not the typical situation of seeing the name of the game repeated above the game. We have, the Scooby-Doo cast down here, the name of the game, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And I do like how the overall villains of the game are slowly looking over, or creepily looking over, the Scooby-Doo gang. So it does flow together as one cohesive piece, so I applaud Spooky and the art team for that. One thing that would have been nice with a little more interactivity is if we look on the playfield, we have all the different villains that I believe that are modes or part of the game laid out on the playfield. They'll change color, they'll blink. It would have been nice if that corresponded to the topper, and I don't believe they do. But still, overall, I think it's a nice topper, something that you don't have to pay extra for on top of the already collector's edition package. So it's certainly a plus. It does seem to be pretty high, so for games going into basements, I'm not quite sure that you'll be able to fit it onto the game. But overall, I think it's a nice, cohesive art package that anyone who has the game will enjoy looking at. Now, before we end this podcast, Topper Talk, I'd like to quickly show off the official Topper Talk topper that was graciously gifted to me for the holidays by my friend Sam. So thank you, Sam, for the topper. It will live on top of Old Chicago. And that's going to do it for this episode of Topper Talk with Goran. Tune into the next podcast for another episode. And as always, get out there and buy a topper. Thank you for coming to my Topper Talk.